Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for Coolin with Jay as always. So, as you can see, I'm in my house. Now, this is not because I don't want to ride. This is because today's moto vlog video is actually more of a tech video so basically what happened is I posted a short clip of a YouTube video that I did 2 weeks ago, which I will link in the description below. And basically what happened is I posted this to all these different Facebook groups I follow, from like moto vlog groups, Ducati groups, V4, whatever, right? So when I posted it, I got a ton of comments asking what camera, what GoPro did I use? Pretty much, you know, they're basically asking how did that quality get to look that good? And the short answer is it's not the GoPro, it's all in post, okay? 85% of it's all in post, it's not the GoPro itself. So today's video, guys, I'm going to be breaking that down on how you can make your videos look essentially like mine did, right? And again, it's a real high overview, right? I'm not diving into which editing software, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? I'm just simply doing on how to take your GoPro, okay, and the footage that it's capturing and making it look as good as possible in post. Makes sense? All right, guys, and as always, man, if you like this content, man, or any of my content, please like and subscribe, man. Please like the video, smash the like button and the bell, because again, guys, all of this helps my channel to grow. I'm almost to monetization, and I would greatly appreciate it if you could help me out with that. All right. All the links are down below, as you can tell. So basically what you're seeing right now, this is my streaming platform, basically. This is where I stream from, but basically I'm using this to screen share so y'all can see what I do through Adobe to get it to look the way it does. All right, so first off, I use the GoPro Hero 7, okay? I upgraded the Hero 6 to the Hero 7 because the stability on the Hero 7 is much more advanced than the Hero 6, which for me means smoother images or smoother video, okay? Because again, I'm a moto vlogger, right? I vlog obviously on the V4, right? If I was doing just walking around vlog or something else, it probably wouldn't matter. But from twisting my head back and forth to leaning over to going over railroad tracks or whatever, I wanted the smoothest video possible. Next up, I'm sure I'll get a question. Thomas, why not the 8? Okay, so the reason why I don't have the 8 is because, the GoPro Hero 8, you cannot, if you record in 4K, okay, well, sorry, there's a few reasons why. Let me backtrack, scratch that. So, there's some pros and cons, or some cons to both the Hero 7 and the Hero 8, which I will say why I didn't upgrade and why I still have the 7, okay? So, the cons to the Hero 7 are, you cannot record in 4K in the Super View mode. The Super View mode is essentially like your ultra wide, okay? You can't use ultra wide, and you can't use the stability, okay? So the stabilization is off, which is why I wanted to go from the 6 to the 7 in the first place, was for the stabilization, and that it wouldn't crop the wide, okay? So that was why. But in the 7, you cannot do 4K in 60 with the ultra wide and the ultra wide and the stability, okay? Now with the 8, you can do the 4K with any stabilization, right? Now I'm not sure about the super wide view, but there's two things you cannot do. They changed the audio, of course they did, right? So the audio ports are different. You don't use 3.5 millimeter, and it's not made for moto vloggers. It's just not. That's really designed for people who want to walk around with the selfie stick and vlog. That's what it's essentially made for. It's not really made as far as the audio part of it. So there's no case out there that I could buy, guys, that I could plug into the Hero 8 and also have audio without having this so basically, long story short, is on the 8 you have to remove this thing, and the microphone stuff's in here. It's just yeah. Blah. Anyway, so I would like to record in 4K 60 if I could. Okay, ideally it would be 4K 60 at whatever 120 frames or 60 frames per second, whatever. But I would do 4K if I could. So that's why I record in 2.7K, is because that's the highest I can do. That can still keep the super view and the stabilization on. Okay. Lastly, YouTube likes 4K content as far as when it's compressed. Okay, 4K content looks really, really good on YouTube when it's compressed. So if I could, I'd even record it in 4K. I wouldn't post it as 4K. I would just export it, meaning that when you complete your final product, you can choose what to export it in. I would export it in either 1080p or 2.7K. I would probably not record and upload in 4K, just because, again, most people don't have the bandwidth to play for 4K, and I want to make it as easy for my viewers as possible. Okay, enough of that. So here's what I do record in. Okay, 2.7K at 60 frames per second in super view. Okay, now what you want to do, okay, on your GoPro Hero 6 or 7. Oh, the last part, sorry, forgot. The other big part why I didn't upgrade to the 8 also is because I can't add a ND filter, which is a neutral density filter. Kind of like adding a blanket or a curtain, if you want to call it, over your lens, so there's less light coming in, which means it makes it darker. And I'll explain why I do that later, but essentially it's to get rid of it. Like on super bright days, you can only reduce your ISO so much. So basically, even if you had your ISO at 100, right, during the daytime, it's still too bright. So you're getting washed out colors, which I will show. So anyway, these are my settings, okay? Super view, which is the ultra wide, right? Obviously, stabilization on. You want to always have your shutter twice as much as your frames per second, okay? So if this is 120, it needs to be 240. This is 30, it needs to be 60. This is always double. Now, helpful tip, GoPro always starts out in auto. So when you turn on your camera, this is going to be in auto. Again, you want to lock the setting so GoPro isn't doing the thinking. You want to shorten how much GoPro is thinking, so it's only focused on making the video content. That's it, nothing else. Okay, so 120 white balance on auto. I don't deal with the white balance, to be honest. It's pretty good on the GoPro, so I leave it at auto. ISO minimum and maximum, you want to have these locked. So what this does is it locks it so that the GoPro isn't jumping around between ISO levels. Okay, and you're gonna probably ask, well, Thomas, what do you mean by that? Well, let me show you. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you what this looks like, right, when I play it. And what's gonna happen is because that ISO level has a value from, let's say, 200 to 800, the GoPro is trying to compensate for the shadows. Okay, so that sensor on front of the GoPro is trying to sense the lighting and then adjust the brightness. Make sense? Or adjusting the ISO level. The problem with that is it's going to wash out your image back and forth because it's trying to compensate. So watch up here. So if you notice, it's going light to dark, light to dark. So every time I hit a shade, this changes. It's doing that because it sees the darkness and it's trying to compensate for it. That's the issue. And that's why you don't want to have the ISO level the way it is. Does that make sense? All right, back to this. Sharpness, medium, and color is flat. Okay, so that's what I do. So these are my settings for the GoPro Hero 7, and now we're gonna dive into the why. So I already showed you for the isolation, right? The ISO, okay? Now, the reason why I do the color to flat is because of this. Now, the reason why people ask me so much on all these different social medias about, how do I edit it or why does it look that way is because when you shoot on just the GoPro, this is how it looks, guys. This is, like I said, this is raw footage, hasn't been touched, okay? And the issue is that this is the best the GoPro can do. This is it, it's the best. It's not terrible, but it isn't eye-popping. What I made was eye-popping, why people wanted to know how it was made, because it pops so much, the colors pop, okay? when you leave the GoPro settings on max, you leave yourself a very small window on what you can edit. When you remove all those settings and you add it in post, you have a lot more room to work with, which is why GoPro gives you the ability to put color on flat. Is because so when you add colors in post, you're not adding it on top of it doing color grading. That's why. All right. So first off, I bought color packs. Okay. So this is essentially what happens when I add a color pack. See? So that looks much different from before. But see, remember, this is on top of the GoPro. Now, it doesn't look bad, but it isn't. This can still look even better, right? So, what is a color pack? Now, you can buy color packs online from whoever, right? There's a jillion people out there who make their living off of selling things like color presets, meaning you are getting so what that is you are getting a preset someone made of color program. Okay, so see, as I click these, I'm getting a different color profile, and then here I can adjust the intensity of that color profile. Right? So that's essentially what a color preset is. So you can call it or have whatever you want. Okay? That's what you want. You want color. Now, these, for example, I think I got a pack of 100 for like $40, right? So you can go in and individually change each color, right? So if you want to go in and play with each color, you absolutely can, right? I love doing these because, again, doing YouTube videos, I'm not trying to sit there and fully touch each color, right? Now for my client videos, I absolutely do. But for majority of my video content for myself, I click a preset, which I already have, labeled, and call it a day. So for example, I got a pack of 50 presets, right? I uploaded raw YouTube content and I spent a whole day and I went through all 40 presets and playing with them. And I found the top 3 or 4 that I like overall. So again, for the look and the feel I want it to have. And then I just use that every time I pull up a YouTube video, I plug in that preset and I'm good to go. All right, simple as that. It's all right. So that's what a color preset will do. Okay. Now, remember the sharpness. Remember, this is already on high. So if I add in sharpness, it's going to look really bad, right? Obviously, this is a lot of sharpness, but like I said, it still looks pretty rough. Okay, looks very pixelated. All right, I'm gonna show you another reason why you don't use GoPro standard settings. Okay, look at this guy right here. So the GoPro does decently well during the day. See, during the day, doesn't look that bad, right? Again, this is just basic content, right? Doesn't look that bad. Here's the issue though, is because during the day, the colors don't look as washed out, right? But when it's in clouds, that's when you get your issues. Now look at this, right? It's at night, okay? Or at dusk, whatever. Now, as you can tell, it looks okay, right? But you see the colors they don't look vibrant, they don't pop. See, this is adding a little vibrant, and this is adding a color preset. You see how the colors just pop just a little more than before, or a lot more than before, okay? That's what that does. What you're looking at right now is pretty much what I just said, okay? This is the 2.7, 60, right? So these are all the things I just mentioned from before, okay? So what we just mentioned from before, this is exactly what this looks like. So this is what you're seeing, okay? The 2.7, 60 frames per second, super view, stabilization, 120, wide bands all up, 100, sharpness, medium, color, flat. Okay? So this is what you get when you have that. All right? So now let me stretch this out. All right. So what I can do, okay, when I go in here, you see this? This is what happens now when I add the color to the flat GoPro color setting. See, it looks much different now. Okay, that's what happens, and that's what I want it to be. So somebody asked, said, hey, he said, hey man, like your GoPro settings look dope. And I was like, listen, I'm sorry. He said, hey, your GoPro recording looks cool. I'm like, well, it is the GoPro, but it's all post. Like what you're seeing isn't from the GoPro recording. Because remember, this is what I get home with. So when I get home, this is what it looks like. But in Adobe, I turn into something that looks like this. Okay. Then what I do is, again, here, see my sharpen. I go here and I add in my sharpness. So I'm adding it in instead of it already having it. Remember, Adobe is much more powerful at adding color and sharpness than the GoPro is. That's why. So see, now my final product looks like this. Makes sense? And then same thing with this, right? So this has already been done. Okay, look at this, guys. You see these two? Completely different. So I'll play it. Remember, it's the same footage. All I'm doing is taking in and taking out the coloring and the edit. Now remember, this is a different color, but you get the point, right? This is how I make these look the way they do. All right. Again, you can get even deeper level than this, but this just kind of gives you a good overview of how these look the way they do. And see? So yeah, this is the video I did a few weeks ago. Getting into the main thing of what makes this better is, as you can see here, I have two GoPros. Okay. Now, as you notice, one has this little gold kind of bronze thing around it, right? That is what's called a ND filter. Okay. So pretty much these guys pop off. Okay. Which is why I don't use the GoPro Hero 8, is because you cannot change these. That's why I haven't switched to the 8, is because I love ND filters. Neutral density is what a ND filter means. Again, essentially look at it as a curtain. Okay, you're putting a curtain over your lens to darken it. Because remember, the issue isn't at night. The issue is at broad daylight, summertime, no clouds, sun beating on your bike. You want to bring it down. So, because remember, when your ISO's at 100, it doesn't matter at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right, guys? It doesn't matter. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, your camera's going to still be too oversaturated. Okay, it's gonna still look too washed out. And the only way to bring that is to bring the stops down. So this guy is called Pro Polar. So this is what I use right here. Okay, Shutter Collection Cinema Series for GoPro, $100, and you get 8, 16, and 32. Again, these are your stops. Okay, this essentially is going to be, from lighter to darker, right? This essentially is putting a massive blanket over your lens to make it darker. But that's a good thing, because the darker it is, the less over washed out pictures and photos you have, because you've brought down how bright it is. Okay, so this is what I have, and that's what you see on this guy. Now you're probably wondering about the tape. The tape is basically for audio, okay? Because GoPros don't know how to fix their microphones, and when you plug in a 3.5mm adapter, it tries to bounce back and forth between the microphones. So I'm essentially trying to mute one of the mics to help with some of that reverb in my vlogs. Okay, so that's pretty much the mixture. Okay, the mixture between what I just said and the ND filter. So what you need to do, obviously, with the GoPro Hero 6 and 7, right, is you can get you ND filters. They make them for the GoPro Hero 6 and 7. ND filters, color, sharpness, ISO, right? ISO as low as possible, shutter, double, right? Sharpness, low or medium is fine. You do not want high, because again, you want to take away some of that processing power of the GoPro, so it's focused on just recording. The last but not least, I also use what's called Neat Video. So it's this thing right here. Okay. So what I do is this essentially gets rid of the noise. Okay, so it's a pro and a con. Okay, so once I do this right, I can select how much noise I want in the video or out of the video. But the content is going to take up tons of processing power. So see, I can take this and I can add in noise. See if add or take away. So this is going to smooth it out. Obviously, see it's super blurry or none at all, right? So that's what I do. So I do this, I'm smoothing out and getting rid of that noise from like the blacks and the dark areas. So this is kind of how I do all these different things to make my video. Now, if it's during the day, I don't necessarily might not use the noise because I said it takes so much. Like, guys, I'm talking about my video can take from 4 hours to rendering to a day just by adding in noise. Okay, it takes a lot of processing power to do it. So in overall, it's also why I avoid 4K. Even though I might still do it, I just kind of avoid it just because it just takes so much time to render. That's why some of these YouTubers can pump out content day after day after day, right? They're not spending a ton of time in the editing and the post part. So, you know, it's a give or take thing, however you want to do. For me, my focus was on not only making as consistent content as possible, but I wanted it to be at a certain high level of quality. That's my own personal preference. Okay. All right. So yeah, guys, that's kind of it. You know, that's how my final product ends up looking the way it does. Just like I said, this toward the end, right, of a video. Like I said, this is adding colors, this is adding all those different things, right? So, like I said, you don't have to do it if you don't want to, but I want mine to look a certain way. That's why I do all these things. And this is what you end up getting out of the end result. So guys, that's pretty much all I got, man. I hope you enjoyed my content. As always, man, thank you for Coolin with Jay. I hope y'all enjoyed this content. Like I said, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, please let me know. I have no problem with filling it out, you know, answer any question about this. But again, I just want to give a deep, like a brief like overview of all of it, right? Not going too super deep into it all. Anyway, guys, thank you for Coolin with Jay as always, man. And I will see all of y'all in the next video.